The next game from Arrowhead is going to be most likely releasing everywhere as they're going to be able to publish their own games. We have more info here about the Gears of War movie. It is happening, and I can't wait to see this one. It's actually one of those IPs that I would love to see turned into a movie or a TV show. A big controversy here at Bungie and Marathon, as well as Haven Studios. A major player has left. So PlayStation Studios, there is some weird stuff going on there. Red Dead Redemption 2 could be coming out again for the current generation of consoles. And we have more information here about GTA 6. So lots to go over today. But if it is your first time here, if you enjoy daily gaming news content, make sure to hit the subscribe, share the video, like it. All of that stuff helps grow my channel, grow the community, and just allows me to continue to make these videos. So if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. But for now, let's jump into it. So Helldivers 2 is a phenomenal game. It did very, very well. It's one of those PlayStation games as a service successes, although it's not from a first-party PlayStation studio. They just funded the game. And this is on the backs of the first one that did come out way back on the PlayStation Vita and the PS3, which I like that one as well. But people have always wondered, is this one of those games that eventually would be releasing on other platforms? For example, would it be coming out on Xbox? I think honestly, for Helldivers 2, it would make a lot of sense to expand this game out to more platforms, even if at some point later out it came on to the Nintendo Switch 2 and Xbox and everything, grow that community and get a lot of people playing. Although under PlayStation's control, it probably is not going to be happening. But you can rest assured here that there is a high likelihood that the next game from Arrowhead, whether that is Helldivers 3 or it's a brand new IP that they do create, will probably be coming out on every single platform. Because of the success of Helldivers 2, as well as the investment from Sony, Helldivers 2 and Arrowhead are now 100% in control of where the next game does launch. This was shared on Discord by Arrowhead's Shams Yorjani, who also added to this discussion of everything that is going on, saying, "The wonderful thing is that thanks to the amazing support of you fine people, Arrowhead's future is quite bright, and we have the freedom to explore some really cool concept that we couldn't have otherwise. Game 6, our next project, will happen the way it will happen thanks to you." And then as well, they also said here about the release of the next game that the next project is 100% funded by ourselves, allowing them to call 100% of those shots when it does come to its launch. And we do remember here that Helldivers 2 was critically acclaimed. It is a fun game. It is a great game if you are into what they are creating there, the humor, the gameplay, everything that they put together for that game is well done. But the launch was a little bit off, and it isn't because of the player numbers or anything. That it was what happened slightly after the launch and the messaging that went along with the PC side of this game, which was creating the PSN. And when they did launch this game on PC, on Steam, you did not need to have a PSN. Then it was later implemented that you did need to have it, and that had huge effects on reviews. It got review bombed. People stopped and dropped off the game, and it did affect its overall success, which led to Arrowhead having to deal with this. There was an article that came out and them having to explain that how they were going to deal with everything that was going on here with the PSN. So there were some issues here with the launch of this game, and that it can be completely attributed to PlayStation and PlayStation Studios and the decisions that they made for the launch of Helldivers 2. They wanted to make sure that people were locked into the PlayStation network, whether they were on PlayStation or PC. From the business perspective, PlayStation needs that. It does make sense for them simply because they need more games as a service and they need more people into their ecosystem outside of the PlayStation console. We've already seen with their latest financial reports that is what they need to focus on: monthly active users and engagement. It's not about the console sales anymore for them because that market isn't expanding. It is the same. You can look at the growth chart of PlayStation 5 and the sales chart. It's tracking along the PS4. It may even be slightly less, but not big enough numbers that it will be a big issue. It's going to be the same. They're selling the consoles to the same people, and they can't continue to do that every single generation with the rise in the development costs. So one way to offset this would be to put games on other platforms. and get people to log into PlayStation Network, increase that engagement, and increase the overall monthly active users. And I think that's what they were trying to do here with Helldivers 2, but it just did not work. So now going forward, you would guess Arrowhead is not going to be doing any of that with their games. They're just going to be releasing it everywhere. They're not going to have any weird sign-in requirements to be able to play it, and they won't have to deal with all the backlash that does come with that. So the next game here from Arrowhead, hopefully comes out on Xbox, hopefully comes out on the Switch too, and then everybody's going to be able to join in and play whatever that game is. So cool stuff there. And at the end of the day, is because it was supported and it was funded here by PlayStation. All right, next up, we have some interesting information about another movie adaptation that is coming from video games, and this has to do with Gears of War. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of all of the TV and movie adaptations that we've been getting in gaming because there's just been so many recently, and I used to live through an era where anytime there was a video game, movie, or TV show, it generally was not very good, but we've definitely progressed and a lot of them have been good. And I feel like Gears of War would make an incredible movie. And there is a new one here that is going to be coming to Netflix. And now they've landed their director for the movie. And that director is David Leitch. So here is what it says. This is from the Hollywood Reporter. The Fall Guy director is in negotiations to helm Gears of War, Netflix's next big budget adaptation of one of the biggest video game franchises on the Xbox platform. And obviously now it is not just on the Xbox platform, as we have Gears of War Reloaded jumping onto the PlayStation 5. So a movie will have a much broader reach for the audience. And now that the game will be everywhere, I think it will attract a lot more people. They also say here that John Spates, who is working with Denis Villeneuve on adapting Frank Herbert's Dune books for Legendary, is writing the script for the feature, for which Netflix has partnered with the Coalition Studio, the Canadian game developer behind the franchise. And Leitch and his wife and producing partner Kelly McCormick will produce the feature via their 87 North banner along with the Coalition. So there it is. Netflix doesn't have any comments on this deal making, but there is a Gears of War movie coming, and I love Gears of War. It's one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. So seeing it in the movie form, I am excited about it. Cautiously excited, I will say, though, because I was very excited for the Halo TV show. And although I haven't really given it a second chance yet, and I feel like I should because I've heard good things about season 2, season 1 of the Halo TV show turned me off, and then I just never really went back to it. I'm hoping they stick to what Gears of War is: gritty, dark. They don't try to add anything in there. They just make it about the video game, stick to its roots, and then it could end up, I think, being a phenomenal movie. And it could have a series of movies if they go through, obviously, all of the games that are out there. Okay, let's talk PlayStation Studios, because there's two major things that have occurred recently with PlayStation Studios, and neither of them are good, or at least one of them definitely is not good, and the second one does not sound very good for one of their next big games as a service game. We'll start off here with Bungie, though, and there is a controversy going on here as an artist is accusing Bungie of plagiarizing the work for Marathon, and it's basically now also been confirmed. So the accusations have been confirmed by Bungie themselves. So an artist here has stepped forward and called out Bungie for stealing their work and using it in the Marathon closed alpha playtest. They say in April, Bungie hosted a playtest for Marathon, and the first impressions were mixed. One of the main complaints centered around the game's implementation of aim assist for mouse users, and some players argued that the game was made too easy. They say in response, Bungie announced that mouse aim assist will be nerfed in Marathon's next alpha patch. Even that promise, there are doubts about the game's future. And now this latest accusation does not help improve the public image. Now, to be fair, I've said on Marathon since they first showed it off that I thought it looked cool. The art style and everything was an interesting, different take on it. I figured that it's a Bungie game. Bungie already has a very strong base of gamers that will check it out regardless. I don't think this is going to be a Concord situation. This next thing here could add to the fact that it may not be as strong of a release as people are expecting. This is going to definitely bring it down a bit, but by how much? Who knows? Will people even really care about this? Will there be major outrage about this? Will there be boycotting for the game about this? We still don't know, but here is the major thing here. This person on Twitter here, N2, tweets this out saying, "The Marathon Alpha released recently, and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2017. And I mean, you can see the similarity here. It absolutely is looking like it was lifted. And in fact, Bungie does confirm here. You can see what they've created. Then you compare that to the actual game itself, and it is uncanny how similar that they are. And then we go here to Tom Warren, who is confirming here that the based off of the Marathon dev team, that the former employee stole artwork that was included in Bungie. So Marathon dev team tweets out, we immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in game. And Tom Warren quotes tweet this saying, Bungie has confirmed that one of its former employees stole artwork that was included in Marathon. Bungie has had similar issues in the past with stolen artwork included in Destiny. So there it is. It did happen. I wonder exactly what they will do here. Like for me, if I'm the artist and they've stolen the work without crediting it to me, I wouldn't even want them to take it out of the game at this point. I would just want the credit and maybe be included in the game development in some form, maybe some compensation or anything. Because to me, it's like, you're an artist, you put this work out there. I feel like the artist would be pretty happy that they created good enough artwork to be included in such a big game. Obviously, though, that they need the credit for this. So I wonder what the next steps are going to be when it comes to what Bungie will do for this artist, and what they're going to do in terms of compensating or attributing the artwork to them. In fact, they say this as well. Bungie is, of course, not obligated to hire me when making a game that draws overwhelmingly from the same design language I have refined for the last decade, but clearly my work was good enough to pillage for ideas and plaster all over their games without pay or attribution. I don't have the resources nor the energy to spare to pursue this legally, and that is another major thing. Like, most people just don't have the time or money to be able to go out there and sue it, and at the end of the day, probably really isn't worth it at that point. They say, but I have lost count of the number of times a major company has deemed it easier to pay a designer to imitate or steal my work than to write me an email. In 10 years, I have never made a consistent income from this work, and I am tired of designers from huge companies mood boarding and parasiting my designs while I struggle to make a living. So hopefully they compensate this person pretty well here for taking their designs and putting it into the game. That would be, I think, the right thing to do here from Bungie. Credit them, compensate them, and then move on. Because obviously they like the designs, obviously they like the art, and they want it in the game itself. All right, the next story here also has to do with PlayStation Studios, and this one is kind of wild. Coming out of nowhere at a time where PlayStation can't afford for these games as a service games to fail after the failure of Concord. They need to have them. They're working on a bunch of them. This is one that was not canceled, and you would think out of all the ones that were canceled, other ones would have stayed, and this one potentially could have been canceled. But this is via Haven Studios and Jade Raymond, who created this studios. Then they got bought out by PlayStation. She has actually left. So to me, that sounds like there's something wrong here with the game. PlayStation may not like the direction of it. She probably got annoyed and left. That's just my complete assumption. That's not a fact at all. That's just what I think happened. But this is what they are saying here. Jade Raymond has left Haven Studios, the PlayStation-owned studio she founded. Sony acquired the Assassin's Creed producer studio in 2022. This is what she is known for. If you don't know Jade Raymond, she is known for Assassin's Creed, the older ones. She was a producer on those games. But this is according to Bloomberg. They say here, who rose to prominence after producing Assassin's Creed and executive producing Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Bloodlines and Watch Dogs. So she has been behind some of the most beloved Assassin's Creed games. Left the studio, opened up Haven, and then started developing the online shooter Fair Games. And one thing to note, Jason Schreier, I believe, confirmed this, that they have taken the money sign away from the name. It is actually just a regular S. People are wondering why it is now spelled like this. But the departure, they say, rounds off an eventful decade for Raymond, who left Ubisoft to found EA's Motive Studio in 2015 before leaving in 2018 for Google Stadia. We don't know the reason for Raymond's departure, but the report cites sources who note that external tests of Fair Games took place several weeks ago and that some developers were concerned about how it was received. So this is why I'm guessing here what happened was it wasn't received well. Jade Raymond probably saw the game going in one direction, Sony stepping in and seeing it going in a different direction. Sony probably at this point very concerned about the direction of games as a service with what happened with Concord, with having to cancel so many games. They know that Fair Games has to do well to some extent. It has to be a game that is successful. It doesn't need to be the biggest game in the world, but it can't end up being an ultimate failure like Fair Games. And that's the same thing with Marathon. So all these controversies surrounding their games as a service is kind of looking grim here for PlayStation. What are they going to do and how will these be received when they are released? The other thing here that they do mention is that this game, I believe now, is being delayed until 2026. Like that's when I think this one is going to be coming out, as we would have thought this one was going to be coming out this year. This would have been one of their big games to release in 2025. In fact, Bloomberg actually says this, that the game was due out fall 2025, but is now delayed to spring 2026, and says PlayStation leadership didn't give Haven staff a reason for a departure, but it came several weeks after an external test. Haven's first game, the online shooter Fair Games, according to people with knowledge of the matter, and some developers at Haven were concerned about how the game was received and its progress, said the people who asked not to be identified because they aren't authorized to speak publicly. So there it is. Two big things here happening at PlayStation Studios that are not on the positive side of things. And finally, we have some GTA 6, some Take-Two news. Two things here. First of all, GTA 6 is coming out in May of 2026. Strauss Zelnick has said that he would be shocked if it did get delayed again. This was an interview here. He explained the initial GTA 6 delay and reminded fans that Rockstar have a good history of meeting release date goals. And I think they've delayed games multiple times, so I'm really not sure about that. But does say here that fans fear GTA 6 would potentially be delayed again, and that in an interview with IGN, Strauss Zelnick is saying, I think historically when we set a specific date, generally speaking, we've been very good at reaching it. And as of why GTA 6 was delayed, he says, as we get closer to completion of a title that's seeking perfection, the needs or lack thereof for continued polish become clear. In this case, there was an opportunity with a small amount of incremental time, we thought, to make sure Rockstar Games achieve its creative vision with no limitations. And I supported, of course, that approach. And I support that approach. Absolutely. I mean, delay this game again if you have to. I mean, I would love to play it, but until it is in that state where when we play GTA 6, it's mind-blowing, it's generational, it is a next step in gaming. If they can make sure that's what happens when this game releases, then to me, the delays are absolutely worth it. And then we also have information here, more information about the game itself, just how much it's costing to develop. It's actually pretty crazy. Estimated to be over $1 billion to develop this game. And the development actually began in earnest in 2020. And GTA 6 on the Switch 2, they say, is not necessarily bringing every title to every platform. So it may not happen. Although I could kind of see GTA 6 coming to the Switch 2 at some point. Actually, I do kind of expect it. And then they also say he doesn't expect further delays for GTA 6. The other big Take-Two game that people do love is Red Dead Redemption 2. We've seen a lot of rumors around this, and it looks like it could be launching on the Switch 2 this year, as well as a next-gen upgrade patch for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S, which a lot of people have been asking for. So I hope this absolutely does happen, but this is spotted here by Video Tech UK, and Game Reactor and Nintendo Duo both claim that Rockstar is working on releasing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025. And reports that it will be coming alongside a next-gen upgrade patch, which would hopefully bring this up to 60 FPS or whatever and just have it running very, very good on the Series X and the PS5. And they say about this next-gen upgrade patch, the current-gen consoles of the game are still locked at 4K 30. So just give a 60 FPS performance mode, bring down that resolution. I think people will be very happy about that. So big things coming in Take-Two. We're hearing about RDR2 now coming with the next gen patch, potentially a remaster of some sort of GTA 4 and Max Payne 3. Could be a major year even without GTA 6 not releasing. I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.